Right. So today we're going deep, really deep into this whole idea of truth lies and like, can we even trust anything anymore?
Yeah.
You know? And
big questions.
it all started, well, with this article, The Cartesian Crisis, Why You Will Believe Nothing.
Right.
And whoa, let me tell you, this article, it gets under your skin a little bit.
It's it's thought-provoking for sure.
Yeah, it really is.
It really makes you think about like the information landscape we're dealing with these days.
Totally. And that's what I wanted to dig into with you today.
Okay, sure.
Because honestly, even just the title, Cartesian Crisis.
Yeah.
It sounds like, I don't know, some kind of intense thriller movie or something.
Yeah, it does have that ring to it.
But the article argues it's like a real thing, this threat, you know. And it's basically saying that we're getting to this point where we can't tell what's true.
Right.
Even with like all this information.
Right. And it's everywhere, right? Like you said, information overload.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's like too much to even process.
Yeah. And this article, it does a good job of breaking down like why that is.
Yeah, it really does.
All these different factors kind of creating this almost like a perfect storm.
Yeah, a perfect storm. That's a good way to put it.
Where you can't even like fight it, you know?
You're just stuck in it.
It's like you're trying to hold on to something, but it's just slipping through your fingers.
Yeah, in the article, it talks about how like institutions we used to trust, they're not as, I don't know, trustworthy anymore.
Yeah, there's been some decay there.
And then on top of that, you've got like AI
right
pumping out all this content.
That's
and
crazy, yeah.
It's crazy.
It's changing so fast.
So fast. And then, you know,
like what's even real anymore?
Right. Exactly. Like, is anything real anymore? And then you add in social media.
Oh, yeah.
Messy with our brains, our attention spans.
It's designed to be addictive, right?
Totally. So we're like constantly distracted.
Yeah.
And it's a lot.
It's a lot to handle, yeah.
Yeah. And the article, it specifically calls out AI as like a big part of this whole problem.
It's moving so fast.
So fast. It's not just, you know, those deep fake videos anymore. It's like articles, papers, even Wikipedia.
Right. Like stuff that we rely on for information.
Yeah.
And it's getting so convincing, you know? Like even the experts, they're getting fooled.
That's kind of scary, right?
It is. It is a little bit.
Like if they can't tell what's real, what chance do we have?
Yeah, exactly. It makes you wonder, like, what can we trust? It really makes you think, like, what can we even hold on to, you know?
Yeah, it's like, where's the foundation, right?
Exactly. And the article, it talks about this idea of, like, digital decay.
Oh, yeah. Have you heard of that?
Yeah, it's like things just disappearing from the internet, right?
Like, it's not just that we're getting bombarded with new stuff constantly, but the old stuff, it's like vanishing.
Like it never existed.
Poof. Gone.
Oh.
Yeah. And the article mentioned something crazy, like 40% of web pages from like 10 years ago.
Yeah, it's a lot.
They're just gone.
It's like we're losing our history.
Yeah, it's like, how can we even understand, I don't know, anything?
Exactly. Like, how do you even fact check anymore?
Right. It's like, if it's not on the internet, did it even happen?
Yeah.
You know?
Right. And it's not just like old blog posts or anything, you know. The article was talking about like important stuff too.
Yeah, like what?
Like legal documents, scientific data, like
whoa, seriously,
stuff that we need.
That's kind of terrifying.
It is. It's a little bit, you know, unsettling.
Yeah, unsettling is a good word for it.
Because it's like if we can't even agree on what happened, you know, like basic facts.
Right. It's like we're all living in our own separate realities then.
Exactly. It's like, how do we even have a conversation then? You know?
Okay, so we've got this digital decay thing happening.
Yeah.
Where information is just like disappearing.
Constantly.
And then on top of that, we've got AI.
Pumping out even more.
Creating all this content.
Right.
That may or may not be true.
It's hard to tell.
And it's just like, what do we do with that?
Yeah, it's overwhelming, right?
It's totally overwhelming. Like, how do we even begin to navigate this?
Well, the article, it does offer a few, like, potential solutions.
Okay, yeah, like what?
So one thing it talks about is this system called C2PA.
C2PA?
Yeah, it stands for, like, Coalition for Content Provenance and Authenticity.
Oh, right. Okay, I think I remember hearing about that.
Just trying to create a digital fingerprint for content.
So, like, you could tell if a photo was real or if it was, like, AI generated or something.
Exactly. Or if an article had been edited, you know, or a video manipulated.
Okay, so that sounds like a good thing, right?
Yeah. In theory, it could be really helpful, you know.
Like, cut through all the noise.
Give us some kind of verification. Yeah.
Yeah. So we could actually, like, trust what we're seeing.
Right. But the article, it does bring up some, you know, potential issues, too. Like, who controls that system?
Oh, right. Good point.
Like, what if it's used for censorship or to control what information we see?
Oh, wow. Yeah,
It's just a double-edged sword, right?
yeah, it could be really good or it could be really, really bad.
Yeah, depending on how it's used.
So it's
Yeah.
not like a perfect solution then.
Not necessarily, no. It's complicated.
Yeah, everything about this is complicated.
It seems like it, right.
Okay, so if we can't necessarily trust this technology
Yeah.
to like save us from the AI,
Right.
what are we supposed to do?
Well, the article, it actually suggests that, like, the real solution.
Yeah.
It's not just about technology. It's about us.
Us, like people.
Yeah. Like remembering what makes us human.
Okay, I like where this is going.
Like things like creativity, genuine connection,
Yeah, those are things that AI can't really replicate, right?
Exactly. And the article argues that those are actually, like, our best defenses against this uncertainty.
So it's not about like throwing our phones away and running for the hills.
No, not necessarily.
Okay, good.
It's more about, like, remembering that technology. It's a tool, you know? It's not supposed to be our whole world.
Right, it's supposed to help us, not control us.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's like finding that balance, right?
Protect.
Between like being aware of the problems, but not letting it consume us.
Yeah, because you don't want to be, like, constantly suspicious of everything, right?
Right. It's like, where's the line between healthy skepticism and just like full-blown paranoia?
Right, exactly. And the article, it actually talks about that.
Oh, does it?
Yeah, it emphasizes, like, the importance of, real face-to-face interactions.
Yeah, like actually talking to people.
Yeah. Especially, like, now when it's so easy to just, like, hide behind our screens.
Totally. And, there's something to be said for like actually seeing someone,
Yeah.
reading their body language.
Absolutely. Like, you pick up on those little cues,
But,
the tone of voice, the facial expressions, all of that.
it's harder to fake that kind of stuff.
Right. Like, you can't just, like, filter your body language,
Exactly. And it's way harder to like lie to someone's face than it is over text.
Oh, absolutely. There's a level of, like, accountability when you're face-to-face with someone.
Right. Like you can't just hit the block button in real life.
Exactly.
Yeah.
In the article, it argues that those real, genuine connections,
Yeah.
they're, like, crucial for rebuilding trust.
Trust in each other, trust in like our shared reality.
Right. Exactly. Because if we can't trust each other, then, what do we have?
Right. That actually reminds me of this one line from the article.
Oh, yeah.
It says something like, we created AI to make our lives easier, but we might have just created a whole bunch of problems that we have no idea how to solve.
Yeah. That's a good one. It's like, be careful what you wish for.
Totally. It's like we're so busy chasing the next big thing that we don't stop to think about like the consequences.
Yeah, until it's too late.
Okay. So we've talked about the problems. We've talked about like some potential solutions. But there's this big like elephant in the room,
Okay, what's that?
This whole idea of truth.
Oh, right.
If it's getting harder and harder to tell what's real, is there even such a thing as truth anymore?
That's the big question, isn't it?
It really is.
And the article, it touches on that a bit.
Okay.
It talks about the difference between, like, objective truth.
Okay.
Like, the laws of physics, those kinds of things.
Like gravity exists no matter what I believe.
Exactly. And then there's subjective truth.
Which is more about like our own personal experiences, right?
Right. Our interpretations, our beliefs.
So like objective truth is the sky is blue.
Yeah.
But subjective truth is I like that shade of blue more than that other one.
Exactly. But the problem is, with all the AI stuff and the deep fakes and the algorithms, it's getting harder to tell the difference between those two kinds of truth.
Right. It's like we're all living in our own little filter bubbles.
Yeah, it's like, how do you even have a shared reality at that point?
Right. And if we can't agree on like basic facts,
Wow.
how are we supposed to, I don't know, solve any problem?
It makes it very difficult, that's for sure.
Yeah. So what do we do?
Well, like we were saying before, I think it starts with us.
Okay.
Like remembering what's important.
Like our humanity.
Exactly. Like being willing to have tough conversations.
Even when it's uncomfortable.
Yeah. And remembering that just because someone disagrees with us
doesn't make them a bad person.
Exactly. We need to find a way to come together,
Yeah. I think that's a good place to like wrap things up.
Yeah, I agree.
This whole deep dive, it's really got me thinking,
Yeah, me too.
And I think for me, the big takeaway is that this Cartesian crisis thing, it's not just a technology problem.
Right.
It's a human problem.
Mm-hmm.
And that means like we have the power to fix it.
We do. We have the power to create a better future.
It's about choosing hope over fear and connection over isolation and truth over deception.
Beautifully said.
So, listeners, we want to hear from you. What resonated with you today?
Are you feeling this whole Cartesian crisis thing too?
Let's talk about it. Hit us up on social media.
Yeah, let's continue this conversation.
And as always, thanks for diving deep with us.
See you next time.
On The Deep Dive.